interns here at Proview Sports Network get pretty competitive. Rivalries are real. So with the big matchup between the El Dorado Eagles and the La Cueva Bears, time to make my pick here on the Proview Rundown. I'm going to go with the El Dorado Eagles. You know, I'm going to change my decision, and I'm going to go with the La Cueva Bears. They're feeling it. All right, hey, calm down. Guys, you do it every time. This is ridiculous. You know what? I'm going to be in makeup.
Football's back right here on Proview Sports Network. All the best rivalries, all the best action, every game on Proview Sports Network, Comcast 26, and the game of the week on My 50 TV. Don't forget, every Proview Network sporting event is on sale at our DVD store. Go to www.proviewNetworks.com to buy your DVD today.
Hoops New Mexico Basketball Courts is coming to Albuquerque soon. 10 full basketball courts and a whole lot more. For more information, contact Dan Serrano at hoopsnm@aybl.com.
What do these interns even do on their break, man?
I don't even know. It's probably way too crazy.
Football's back right here on Proview Sports Network. All the best rivalries, all the best action, every game on Proview Sports Network, Comcast 26, and the game of the week on My 50 TV.
And welcome everybody here to the Sports Desk. I'm Scott Galletti. Ed Nunez is out this week. He'll be back with us next week. We are joined by Executive Director here at Proview Networks, Adam Deal. And Adam, it's a very busy time after what we like to call the off season, although there's never really an off season, especially in this business, but you've been busy.
Yeah, well, like you said, I mean, semi-off season, right? Because we still have some events that we cover during the summer, but just like a lot of our commercials, football's back. And officially on Monday this week, it started two-a-days. So, you know, obviously we're going to be covering that and trying to preview as many teams here locally as we can on Proview Sports Network. But it leads us into what our season is. And so much is coming here on Proview Sports Network. And you know that it's going to be a busy time for everybody.
After the New Mexico High School Coach Association meetings last week, we're back on our regular Tuesday slot. And things are going to be really hot and heavy. You're out doing previews. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I mean, you know, we've been doing it for the last couple of years, something we started and just trying to get, you know, small packages that kind of discover some of the teams around here, every team, and you know, some key players and coaches and what they think about their schedule and their upcoming season and all of it. So we're going to be busy collectively as a crew trying to put it together. The guys in the back will be editing it, and I'll go shoot it and get some interviews, and hopefully we can get a good, solid preview for each team, and you can kind of see the way they practice and what have you. And I mean, obviously we know there's a lot of talent here in the Metro that's been exciting to cover, and a lot of players that are going next level. And so maybe a season this year, Scott, as you know, that is a little bit unpredictable. We really don't know who's going to be the top of the cream, and that's including, you know, the Las Cruces and Mayfield and Clovis. And so this year's maybe a little bit more open than we're used to.
We're going to look at some schedules here later on in the program, Adam, but you mentioned Las Cruces. Last week we kind of talked about Las Cruces. I had Alden with me last week, and one of the things that we both brought up, he brought up first, is the fact that they don't have their line back this year. Last year, it's unheard of in high school to have your entire offensive and defensive line. Now they have to rebuild, but they have all their skill players coming back.
Yeah, I mean, 4 of the 5 starters from that offense and defensive line are gone. Now, I don't think that's as big of a deal as most people think, because it's Las Cruces and they reload pretty fast. And so I know they got some big boys that are going to be taking some places on that line, and that got good experience also last year. But Peyton Ball as quarterback was wonderful as a junior, and I mean fantastic. He's going to be a guy that's going to be a name that I think everyone's going to know even more, is Peyton Ball. But he's got 2 of the best wide receivers in the state, with going to be junior Ivan Molina, and of course Brandon Baeza, who's now going to be a senior, hard to believe, has had a wonderful career, and last year was almost unguardable, him and Ivan Molina together. So you mentioned skill position players, plus a junior running back that's going to be a senior. I just think they're going to be very dangerous.
You know, it's funny when you mention Ivan Molina being a junior.
Yeah.
I keep forgetting that, because they've been playing like seniors since they were freshmen.
Ivan Molina is a freshman. I'll never forget it. The best game that I was able to ever broadcast down in Las Cruces 2 years ago in the state semifinals against El Dorado, he blew up. I mean, he had over 100 yards receiving and 2 touchdowns in a semifinal game as a freshman. So he was fantastic. It was a game that El Dorado won with a Shelley kick at the Holt Shelley kick at the very end, a 42-yarder to win it. And it was the most exciting game. But since then, Ivan Molina was wonderful last year as a sophomore, and again, he's going to be a junior. And then, of course, Brandon Baez, he's a state champion wrestler, and he's everything you ever wanted, and he's just as explosive as Molina. And so it's a 1-2 combo that's really good for Peyton Ball.
Before we get into the meat of going through schedules and whatnot, I want to ask, because I never really get a chance to ask you on the air, what are some of your favorite games that you've called?
Obviously, that is the top.
You've asked me that before, but I got to ask you that.
That's the top, I think, of all time. I think my second favorite game was a District 1 game the same season, and it was Rio Rancho taking on Volcano Vista 2 seasons ago in the 2015 season. And Rio Rancho with Stephen Bailey had a Hail Mary at the very end of the game, and it was caught by Derek Reyes, who was a sophomore and now going to be a senior. That was a fantastic finish. You just don't forget finishes like that. Right. For football, for me, that would be tops. A lot of the Rio Rancho Cleveland rivalry games have been unbelievable and come down to the end. I did a Rio Rancho Cleveland semifinal younger in my career that came down to the last couple possessions, which was really fun. So some of those games are really memorable. And of course, Scott, if you look at some of the games in the pit when we do the state championships are great. Rio Rancho's unbelievable run last season, and then Volcano's unbelievable run this season. There's so many games in there that go down to the wire. But I'll tell you my very favorite, and I was brand new in the broadcasting business. I just started covering Eastern New Mexico's schools when I was in college at Eastern New Mexico, and we were covering a game for Springer, or Fort Sumner, excuse me. They're playing Springer in the championship game, and this was 1A, and the pit was packed because at the end of the game, it was going to be the 5A championship at the time was Highland, was going to take on La Cueva, and so the pit was already packed for that game. Fort Sumner's up by 3. Kid from Springer gets fouled, this young sophomore, at the buzzer shooting a 3-pointer. So nobody's there. He's by himself at the free throw line, no time on the clock, hits the first one, pumps his chest to the crowd, everyone gets fired up, hits the second one, pumps his chest to the crowd, gets everyone fired up, has to hit the third to go to overtime, rims it around, and no good. And so Fort Sumner won the state championship, and it was just the most memorable, I think, ending to a game that I've ever broadcasted.
Now this year, obviously, you had the dunks all over the place in the championship game. How big of a game was that this year with Cormier?
David Cormier reminds me of exactly a year later. It was Juan Hurt and Clay Patterson were unbelievable, and they took over the state tournament in a magical way. Cormier one-upped them, and it's hard to believe, but he was literally the difference. He was unguardable. Defensively, you could not get by him, and he was the difference. He stayed out of foul trouble, smart, athletic, and he put on a show. And he really put the game away in the state championship. Our Proview Network crew that covered it for the NFHS network, everyone said it. I mean, it was just magical to watch what he did. And, you know, it's funny because he wasn't even going to play basketball, right? A few games in the season, he was actually decided he wanted to come back. And so the way that he put on a show in the pit and the dunks that you talked about, it'll be something that we'll probably never forget.
You know, when they showed the highlights after the game, people were saying, was that the same dunk? Because it looked like it.
Yeah, he just beat his guy one-on-one and put it home. And it was.
I mean, it was unbelievable because you talk about an unstoppable performance. He had it.
Yeah, and it was funny. I mean, you know, Volcano Vista also, they were moments away from being eliminated if Derek Reyes hits a free throw in the first round against the defending champs Rio Rancho. That game's over. It was similar situation as I was talking earlier. It was no time left. He just had to make one of the two, and he missed them both. And so Volcano Vista wins in overtime, and then they're able to get on further in the tournament and keep upsetting everyone.
Let's take a quick break. We will come back with Executive Director here at Proview Networks, Adam Deal, here on the Sports Desk.
He got away with one nonetheless. He definitely created some contact.
Here we go, 2-1 game on. Sam Gleedle's gonna finish it.
Show the replay and show you how it happened in just a moment. Here's Luke Lawrence. Very nice PK.
So it's going to be Jack Clance is going to take this. Domiciano's there too, but I don't think this is going to be a left-footed take. Clancy, yes! Jack Clancy.
Hey, I said it earlier in the broadcast, Adam. He loves to.
This is dangerous as Gleedle will leave it off. Pacheco, does he want to have one? A cutback. Pacheco's in trouble now as he tries to switch it. Here's a 1-2, and again it's Gleedle. Gleedle's going to try to bend one. Yes! How about it from Sam Gleedle? It's gorgeous on the inside of the foot. And
Our interns here at Proview Sports Network get pretty competitive. Rivalries are real. All day with you two, jeez.
Football's back right here on Proview Sports Network. All the best rivalries, all the best action, every game on Proview Sports Network, Comcast 26, and the game of the week on My 50 TV. Gecko's Bar and Tapas, a proud supporter of Proview Networks. It's been a fan favorite spot for food lovers and sports fans. with not one, but 2 great locations, including outdoor patio. An atmosphere you won't want to miss. Geckos, off Academy and in Nob Hill.
Folks, there's no other way but to be all in. Either he's Lord of all or he is not Lord at all. And you can experience the real and authentic, true life change that only God can provide to humanity. See, when we truly encounter Jesus and purpose to know him and follow his teachings, hashtag life change will occur.
Sure, you could get him a new car. You could also light a pile of money on fire. So maintaining this old car is your best option. Keep it running longer, stronger, with quality parts and a whole lot of Napa know-how.
Terry Cosper Insurance Agency is a proud partner with Proview Networks and a proud supporter of New Mexico high school athletics. Terry's been a local farmer's agent for over 20 years for auto, home, life, and business insurance. Just like high school sports are important, so are teen drivers. For more information, call Terry or one of his licensed staff members at 898-5556. Quotes are available for you.
And we are back here on the Sports Desk. I'm Scott Galletti, joined by Executive Director here at Proview Networks, Adam Deal. Alden Iowani, our director, is always doing a great job. And I want to ask you, Adam, I've talked to you off the air about it, but we've seen the commercials.
Yeah.
There's more coming. Talk a little bit about the idea, because the first time I saw those, and I told Alden, who is a major player like yourself on those last week, the minute I saw those, I couldn't stop laughing.
I mean, it's no secret where we get our motivation from if you're familiar with sports and watch ESPN and what have you, right? And so, but they're funny commercials. What we want to do is, you know, create a fun atmosphere, and that's what this is. I mean, sports is supposed to be fun, right? And so we wanted some things that really intertwine with some of the schools that we cover in the rivalries, and so a perfect one was La Cueva and El Dorado, and of course the ADs were gracious enough to help us out, and Brandon Back helped us from La Cueva get in touch to get their mascot, and then Roy Sanchez did a great job of helping us from El Dorado to get their mascot, the Eagle, and so we obviously had some fun with it, and the guys obviously had some fun with it. Jason Pohl, you know, one of our directors here, he's from El Dorado High School, and so it was fun to kind of mess with it a little bit. But yeah, I mean, some of these ideas fly around, and the crew actually did a good job of putting most of it, you know, together. The ideas come from them, and they're obviously the ones that have all the magic, and I'll tell you, they're fun, and we've got some more coming. We're working on some more, and you know, kind of brightens up the place a little bit.
Well, we just saw the one with the eagle putting a sign on the bear, or the bear putting a sign on the eagle, and then the eagle getting ticked off, and knocking over the boxes, and you breaking it up. And there's another one where you stormed off the set, and they're both celebrating. And I think my favorite, though, is the eagle on camera.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's not a very good cameraman, that's for sure. Not good at really anything. These commercials, by the way, it's just to represent, you know, Proview Sports Network, and so if you haven't seen them, you can check them out. You can go to our Twitter page at Proview TV, or you can go to our YouTube page. Really is the best way. Just search Proview Networks, and it'll be one of the last few videos that were posted. But it's fun. I mean, we got more coming. We got some good ideas that I think you'll like.
You know, let's talk a little bit about the programming, because I've talked with Steve about it, but I really haven't gotten into it with you. But, you know, a lot of expansion in the programming, different shows. Obviously, we had the boxing show. You got wrestling on Monday. That's one that I actually tune into.
I'll tell you what, the wrestling has taken off, and I didn't know. You know, I just said, okay, well, it's content, and I know people appreciate it, and so let's see how it goes. But really, we've gotten more of our interaction on social media than anything is from the wrestling that comes on Monday, and they do a really good job with it, and so they produce it and everything. And hey, I'm all about it, because we're getting a lot of attention. But it's diverse programming here. You know, also mixed with it is we've been doing a lot more stuff with the University of New Mexico, and upcoming we're really excited because we get to do Lobo volleyball, Lobo men's and women's soccer. Now, it won't be live on Proview Sports Network, but we'll be streaming it live through the Mountain West Network, which you could watch. But then re-airs will be right here on Proview, and you could watch them there. So obviously excited. I mean, men's soccer always ranked in the top 25 this year. Coach Fishbein's got a really, really good team, and should be right back there. Very tough schedule. They're going to play #1 ranked preseason UCLA mid-season, and so that'll be here, and we'll have it. And so those games plus volleyball.
Wasn't UCLA #1 when you did their game a year or so ago?
Yeah, and I mean, who knows if UCLA could hold on to that #1 ranking? But yeah, I mean, a couple of years ago UCLA played UNM, and we were able to do that. But now
a couple of years ago,
I think we've got 8 total men's soccer games, 4 women's soccer games, and a total of 10 volleyball games. So a lot in front of us, really. And so that's obviously including with all of our high school stuff. Now we've got a lot of high school volleyball, high school soccer, and of course football Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday, and Yaffle Saturday mornings usually. And so our schedule is pretty hefty.
Now Proview's pretty much had a hand in Coach Nelson's volleyball program for a while, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean, we've shot a lot of things for volleyball in the past. Recently, not so much. And so yeah, it's kind of nice to fit back in there. And of course, Jeff Nelson has done a great job with that program. A lot of local kids come in, which is really cool.
A lot of good local kids.
Yeah, and really they can compete in the Mountain West Conference, especially this year. So it's going to be fun to see it all.
Let's stick with the UNM theme. We kind of went over this last week, Alden and I did, but the media days last week took place in Las Vegas for the Mountain West, and the Lobos were picked 5th in the Mountain Division. Let's show that right now, and there you see the Mountain preseason picks, and you see New Mexico 5th out of 6. And you know, I think the players and I think Coach Davey did a very good job of kind of playing it down. In fact, some of the players were kind of pumped up after hearing that because they feel they're going to have a very good team, which is nice to be able to say for a change. Last year 9-4, but this year the confidence, you can see it.
Yeah, well, Bob Davey has done an amazing job building this program, and it's taken longer than people would have liked, but I think if everybody looks at the situation that Lobos are in now, they've got to appreciate it. You mentioned 9-4. Listen, them being picked 5th to finish on this side of the Mountain West is garbage, and they are slighted. Trust me. They're not going to show it in the media because Bob Davey is telling them not to. I promise right now as they're training, that's motivation that he's using because for New Mexico, especially the direction this program has gone and some returning players that are coming back for the Lobos, I find it hard to believe that they're picked 5th still. It's an exciting offense. It's a run offense, but it's exciting yards-wise offense. I promise you this, they're not going to finish 5th. That is a terrible prediction by media members that, you know, very biased when you're going to make your picks. And I just think, when it's all said and done, just like last year, Lobos were predicted to finish 5th also, and how that, I mean, they didn't, right?
They came out and did a great job last year and came up with some victories that a lot of people didn't see coming, but they got better. The second year in a row, they won 7 games the year before. Each year, about the mid-season point, the switch went on, and they were almost unbeatable at the end of the season.
Well, the thing is, too, is everyone's bought in now to Bob Davey. They bought into his product, his recruiting, and it's all come together. And so this team now is completely his, built, right? So there's not any players left over from Loxley or any recruiting from Loxley. This is 100% now Bob Davey's team. Everyone's bought in. His success continues to climb like this. And so I would imagine in camp right now in their preseason that everyone's pretty pumped up what the future can hold.
Let's put that graphic back up just really quickly here so we can talk about a couple of things here, Alden, as there it is again. And, you know, I was going to mention Boise State. That's going to be a tough game at Boise State. They're not a surprise team anymore. Last year, Boise State came in here ticked off, and, you know, I think the Lobos can give them a game, but you never know. Colorado State, I would say, is a toss-up. Wyoming and Air Force, I don't think the Lobos should be behind.
Yeah, I would agree with you, and based
especially
on last
Wyoming.
Year, and based on last year, I think that's what the Lobos have proven. Utah State probably is going to struggle a little bit this year, but you know, yes, Colorado State and Boise State, it's going to be a little bit of a handful, especially at Boise State. But I think Bob Davies proven that he can go win at Boise State, so I don't think the Lobos are afraid of anybody.
No. And this year especially, because these guys, just hearing them talk on the radio, talk wherever, seeing them in quotes, the confidence is something that you don't just show up and be confident. These guys believe in themselves. And just listening to them talk, the aura is almost like a Rocky Long team. And that's very nice to see.
Well, he's done a great job, Scott. I mean, and what I want to see, we want to see the stadium packed. It should be. I mean, they just had an unbelievable season, won in a bowl game. They're playing back-to-back bowls. The program is getting better and better every year. This stadium should be full. People should be excited. How can you not be?
Well, see, that's the thing. And let's look at the next slide, Alden, for the West Division. But you see the stadium there. Everyone talks about, well, not everyone, but a lot of people talk about University Stadium now to be Dream-style Stadium. They talk about it being old and this and that. I like it. I think it's a perfect football stadium. And if you go to other ones that aren't brand new, this is about as nice as it gets.
Yeah, and
people don't realize how good they have it here stadium-wise, because it is a good stadium.
Yeah, for our atmosphere and for what Albuquerque has, it's a perfect stadium. Let's fill it up. Fill it up for a few years, and then maybe you can complain about the stadium. But like you said, I think the facility is really nice. They've done a good job adding on to it in the back of the end zone and making it look unique. It's a unique type stadium. Yes, it's smaller, holds 35,000. Well, let's put 35,000 in it before anybody can say anything. So I agree with you. I think it's a fun location. I think it would be nice, when I was younger, Rocky Long days, or Franchoni before that, when the Lobos had some really good success, the place used to get pretty packed. Okay, and so I know Albuquerque has it in them, but as of late, I don't know if it's lazy. I don't know if it's every game could be watched on TV and it's a better experience. I don't know what it is, because I know ticket prices aren't that much. So and
it's
you can no longer
ticket price you're going to find.
You can no longer say that it's not a good product, because Bob Davies built the program into a success. So that's no longer an excuse. So I'm curious if people go or not this next season, but I think this might be the season that our attendance finally goes in the right direction.
Well, I was there Bob Davies' first season, and even then at 4-8, it was a good product, because that year there were about 3 or 4 games that could have been wins, and you could have been talking bowl, and they've gotten better and better each and every year. So the product from the get-go has been good, and like you said, he has all his players now, and I think that makes a big difference.
Yep, I would agree. As you look at this side of the Mountain West.
Speaking of Rocky Long, his team looks pretty good.
Long, San Diego State he's done an unbelievable job with that program, and it makes you think, why did he ever leave? But let's let bygones be bygones, and that's where it is now. What's interesting is just think about how terrible Hawaii was 2 years ago, and now they're back to a team that is going to be a little bit scary in the Mountain West, and so that's interesting as well, that they're all the way up at number 2 right now. Now, obviously, this side, I think, of the mountain is a little bit weaker, and so SDSU is clear favorites, undoubtedly.
And you know where Hawaii usually builds itself? And I know that's where the Lobos have been trying to build a foundation and have been known over the years. And that's the front lines on offense and defense. They have homegrown kids that are big, and they just kind of promote from within, if you will.
Yeah, and
they don't have to go to the mainland to get those kind of players, and then they get those skill position players.
And if you recall, about 8.5 years ago, so 9 seasons ago, Hawaii went undefeated during the regular season and ended up playing in the Sugar Bowl, and they got hammered against Alabama. But still, that wasn't too far off.
Yeah, they basically played for a national championship, so here they are in the Mountain West. But, a lot of people, myself included, I don't like the fact that they're a part-time team in the Mountain West. I like to see them in basketball and baseball and that kind of stuff too, but they're in the Big West in those sports.
Right, and it's kind of like BYU's independent, right? But BYU in basketball also competes in the Big West as well, and so Hawaii, I would like to see it as well. I think they would be a good fit. I think the traveling really isn't that much different than the conference that they play in currently. So I agree with you. I'd like to see them also in the Mountain West.
Yeah, the only bad thing about the traveling is going from here to there. That's a long flight, even if it's on a charter.
Yeah, you got it once a year though.
Yeah,
but
once
they
a year.
have to obviously
basketball and baseball, it's kind of a long long trip, but you play more games too, so you can go there for a 3-game
I can see how it would be a little bit more difficult in baseball.
What do you think needs to happen back to the fans? What needs to happen to get more people to local games? Because I've been scratching my head ever since I got to town here, and ever since Rocky went and won the game against Nevada the year before my first year in 2007, my first year was 2008, attendance has gone down.
Yeah, you know what? I'm glad.
It's really weird.
I'm glad I don't have to solve that puzzle, right? I'm glad that's not my job. Somebody in the University of New Mexico athletic department in the marketing area is going to have to figure that one out.
But we'd all like to see it, though.
Yeah,
we'd love to see that stadium.
I couldn't tell you.
Because I'll tell you what, even the amount of fans that they get right now are into the game. If you could add on to it, you're talking about a home field advantage.
Like I said, I wish I had the answer. I mean, I know they've tried a bunch of tricks. Ticket prices have gone down, up. I know there's now beer sales, which is really cool. They're trying to get, there's always a big tailgate, right? But half that audience in the tailgate doesn't go into the game.
You just brought up the biggest mystery.
I've been a part of that.
The tailgate is one of the best tailgates outside of a P5 school.
It's good.
And I'm telling you, I've been to P5 school tailgates. When the Lobos played at Oregon, I saw what they had, Arkansas, Texas.
A lot of it.
The tailgate here is actually big
a lot of it is technology too, and everyone has their RVs or they have TVs set up, and they're just going to stay there and they're going to continue to drink beer and barbecue, and why go into the game?
Right.
Now that's why I think it's a big deal that there are beer sales in the stadium.
Right.
That helps obviously financially for UNM, but also I think it helps bring in some of the audience that otherwise would just go watch it at a bar and grab a beer, and I think that is a big deal. Maybe it catches on a little bit more this year. That coupled with the winning record that UNM has had for the last couple of years and a bowl game win, maybe.
Well, once again, guys are actually talking, hey, we don't want to just win conference, we want to go undefeated. So at least they have the right mindset. They don't want to go out and say, well, you know, we might win this one. They feel they're going to win all of them, which it's taken a long time to get to that confidence level.
Yeah, you say all of them, but I mean they have a couple of hard games in the schedule. Right? I think they've got to go play at A&M this year.
At A&M, at Boise State. Yeah, that's
I don't know if
right there.
I don't know if you've been to A&M, but that stadium is, and that atmosphere is unreal. It's something that you should.
That was actually Loxley's first year. We went there. We went to the overnight midnight rally. And
wild, isn't it?
There was almost 90,000
They call it
people
the
there.
12th man, and it's just kind of like Seattle, but they were coined the 12th man before that.
When they start making noise, the press box actually shakes. It's unbelievable.
So that'll be a couple tests that I think obviously the Lobos won't be favored in. Staying competitive in those games are important. If you go back to last season, a game that maybe slipped away from the Lobos that they could have won that's frustrating is a game against a Big Ten opponent at Rutgers, and they probably should have won that game at Rutgers in New Jersey, and they didn't. So maybe stealing a win against a bigger conference team would, especially early, might, or even if they're very competitive for a while at least, it might get people excited around here to go see a game.
We'll take a quick break, come back with more with Adam Deal, the Executive Director of Proview Networks, here on the Sports Desk.
Car Crafters, proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
Are you sure we're supposed to be doing this?
Don't worry, I've watched him do it 1,000 times. Come on, what's the worst that can happen?
No! Bad dog!
Hi, welcome to Car Crafters. What happened? Don't worry, we'll make it like it never happened.
Car Crafters, it's like it never happened.
You know, we try to let all of our interns do everything here at Proview Sports Network. Sometimes it just doesn't pan out. Hey everybody, welcome to the Proview Rundown. I'm Adam Deal. What a big week in football, week 3. As you all know,
Cut.
Come on, this Eagle, jeez.
Football's back right here on Proview Sports Network. All the best rivalries, all the best action, every game on Proview Sports Network, Comcast 26, and the game of the week on My 50 TV.
Altitude Sports Grill is where Albuquerque's sports fans won't miss a game. With locally crafted brews on tap and refreshingly crisp cocktails. Located in Hotel Cascada, Albuquerque residents find a staycation worth staying for. Catching Lobo sports, enjoying a beer on the beach, or wiping out, Hotel Cascada is home to your urban adventure. Affordable guest rooms, no-hassle water park parties, and much more.
Garden Sort's Team Sales is a proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
Get into the game. Garden Schwartz Team Sales features fine products and apparel from Wilson, Schutt Sports, Speedline, and Russell Athletics. We offer custom embroidery and screen printing services for all of your school or club needs, from team uniforms to school letter jackets. Specializing in all sports and serving all communities, from big schools to small schools, from up north to down south, or all points in between. Garden Schwartz Team Sales. For great prices, friendly staff, and quality products, call Garden Schwartz Team Sales today at 1-800-880-7767. That's 1-800-880-7767. Since 1939, Garden Schwartz Team Sales is a proud supporter of New Mexico youth athletics.
Hey Lobo fans, I'm Sarah. And I'm Samantha. Jaguar Land Rover Albuquerque has been a family-owned business since 1988. The 2017 Jaguar F-Pace has been named the winner of the 2017 World Car of the Year and World Car Design of the Year.
Land Rover's signature terrain response system is flawless against any curveball New Mexico weather can throw at you.
We have a class-leading extended warranty on all Jags and Land Rovers and one of the greatest pre-owned inventories in the state of New Mexico.
Call 505-797-3600 to schedule a test drive.
The Barley Room, proud sponsor of Proview Networks for over 9 years, is pleased to introduce Black Iron Catering. From weddings and family reunions to birthdays and office parties, Black Iron Catering is perfect for any event. Contact Jamie at 505-459-8259 and book your event today. Black Iron Catering. Let us bring our kitchen to you.
Visit the Frontier Restaurant. Due to heavy construction on Central, take lead or coal coming north or south. The Frontier Restaurant. Get your Frontier fix on.
I am never getting married. Never. Guaranteed.
You picked a beautiful ring.
Thank you. We're never having kids.
I love it here.
We are never moving to the suburbs. We are never getting one of those. We're never having another kid.
I'm pregnant.
I'm never letting go.
For all the nevers in life, talk to State Farm agent Michelle Rudolph or Marty Size in Albuquerque.
For 55 years, people have bought trucks from Tillery in Los Lunas. We have a great selection of vehicles, the quality service department, and some of the best deals in the state. But most importantly, we found people prefer to buy trucks from people who actually drive trucks.
Tillery is a proud supporter of Proview Sports Network. Locally owned and operated, located in Las Lunas, right off I-25, exit 203.
And we are back here on the Sports Desk. I'm Scott Galletti, joined by Adam Deal, Executive Director here at Proview Networks. Aldeni Awani, our fine director, doing a great job as always. And let's take a look at some schedules. I know you're going to be doing full previews, Adam, but we'll start with St. Pius. And I bring them up simply because they're defending state champions. So let's take a look at St. Pius first. And on the schedule, they got a pretty tough non-district schedule.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious where St. Pius is going to be. Scott, you see Highland and West Mesa, they're going to, I mean, Highland and West Mesa are probably going to struggle a little bit again this year. I'm curious about Hope Christian is a new program that's getting better each year. That might be a real test. But then things start to get really difficult once they take on Alamogordo and then even at Lovington, you know, in front of them. Their district is going to be tough. I know Las Lunas is going to be difficult. I think Belin's going to be really good this year. But this is a team, Scott, that lost, I mean, I don't know specifically how many, but probably 3/4 of their starting lineup on both sides of the ball, including one of the best quarterbacks that we've seen in a long time, Drew Ortiz. I mean, Drew Ortiz, he threw for 2,700 yards and ran for 1,800 yards. And actually, I think it was over 2,000 yards. He accounted for 55 touchdowns last year, and all the weapons are gone as well. And so, yes, I hear there's some talent. Pavia is going to be a really good quarterback coming up. Maybe a team that's young, and also, of course, San Juan Mendoza just retired, so maybe a rebuild year for St. Pius.
Yeah, you
likely.
mentioned Drew Ortiz. I remember seeing him as a freshman, and they struggled that year, but you could tell his talent level was off the charts and he was going to get better. He did. He graduated, and he and a bunch of his teammates played a week ago in the game that you did for the All-Star game.
Yep, and it struggled in that All-Star game, and not because Drew Ortiz isn't fantastic. I think he still had like 67 rushing yards, which is, I think, the bulk of the yardage the South had. It was just a stout defense from the North, and really nothing the South could do about it. But, you know, walking on it at UTEP now, so that's kind of exciting.
Let's take a look now at some 6A schools. We'll start with Albuquerque High, and Albuquerque, they start off with Centennial. They go to Valencia, then they play El Dorado del Norte, and then La Cueva before going into district play.
Yeah, curious. Albuquerque's kind of gotten progressively better. Last year was a little bit dangerous in their district and had a chance actually to win district. Now it's a very down district, District 4, but again, Albuquerque High lost a lot of players from last year. I'm curious how they're going to fit in. This district still is usually wide open. Very, very tough game to start their season at Centennial, whose second year in 6A should be really good.
We were talking about the Eagles and Bears. We're going to go to District 2 now, and we'll go over those 4 teams here on the preview, if you will, just looking at the schedules. And El Dorado starting off on the road against Las Cruces.
Ugly start, right? A schedule that you know has
seems like
them
they do
playing,
that every year, though. Don't they? Between Mayfield and Las Cruces, they seem to put a top team from the South on their schedule every year.
At Las Cruces, at Volcano Vista, and then they'll host Mayfield. That's the start to their season, so very, very difficult. Also, El Dorado had lost a lot from last year. Dotson always does a good job, though. Every time I think maybe they're not going to have the team, he always puts something together. So very curious how competitive the Eagles are going to be this year.
And La Cueva, I know that's one of your favorite mascots. You picked the Bears at first. Well, actually, no, you didn't pick the Bears. He got mad and you picked them afterwards.
Then I picked the Eagles, right?
So let's look at La Cueva right now, and there you look at the Bears, and they start off with a tough schedule too.
Yes.
Look at week 2.
But this is a team that I think can make some damage happen this year. I'm more curious, I think, about District 2 than any district on how it's going to go because of La Cueva, Clovis, and, of course, Manzano, who's probably the favorite in the Metro City. But listen, Cibola, very winnable game. That's our first My 50 game that Proview will broadcast on My 50 TV Friday night. A very tough game against Cleveland the next following week, and we mentioned Centennial's going to be good. So their first 3 games, very interesting to set up before they get to district play. I think they'll have no problems with an Albuquerque High, Highland, West Mesa before they get into district play. But those first 3 games, very curious. I think the La Cueva Bears have a really good chance at getting a high seed going into playoffs.
Speaking of a high seed, a team that a lot of people are high on, Manzano.
Yeah, I'm one of those guys.
Both of us,
and Scott,
actually,
the reason is they didn't lose a lot from last year. And they had an unbelievable defense that got better and better and better and better and better. Now, they got blown out in the semifinals against a Rio Rancho team that was, you know, unbelievable. They're the state champs, okay? So nothing to hang your head on. Of course, Jordan Bird is now the highlight. I think he's going to be quarterback. I think they're going to use him as they did at the end of the year as a quarterback type running. You know, they're going to do a lot of read option. No, because he's your best athlete and he makes plays happen, and they have a really good running back. And so when you do read option, it works. And they have a couple of guys on the outside that could win one-on-ones. Their defense is stacked, led by linebacker Villegas. They're all returning, and so So I talked with Chad Adcox, and he said, I'm not going to tell you I'm excited, but his face said it all. He's excited. Right. He's just not going to publicly tell us he's excited.
Right.
He knows the team he has. This is going to be a very dangerous team. I have a feeling Manzano, Clovis, and LaCueva are really going to go at it for that district.
Now, I don't want to spoil your preview, but I know James Iotis mentioned in one of his articles that they also have 3 quarterbacks outside of Bird that they could
I'm curious.
Use in a pinch.
I just don't. I think, look, when Manzano became their best is when Bird played quarterback.
Right.
Now, he wasn't.
Although the first game
he wasn't
that they
throwing
did
the ball
against Rio
exceptional.
Rancho on the road in that first game, he struggled. But I think that's because he had a week to get ready to be the quarterback, but as a team,
he didn't play quarterback the whole game. He didn't start as quarterback, and he ended up going in quarterback, and he ended up scoring 2 really long rushing touchdowns.
Right.
I don't know. We'll see. I have a feeling that he's going to be playing a lot of quarterback this year, just because when Manzano was their best, he was playing quarterback. Now he's not the best throwing quarterback, but his when the ball's in his hands, you got a chance to score every play, literally.
Game on the schedule, September 23rd. Circle that date. Rio Rancho at Wilson Stadium.
Yeah, that's a Saturday. That's a Saturday afternoon game. You bet it'll be right here on Proview Sports Network. And I have a feeling at that time you're going to be looking at 1 versus 2, 1 versus 3, something like that. I have a feeling. So obviously, I think one of the biggest games of the football season in the metro area.
And rounding out the schedules that we have this week, we'll bring more next week as we progressively show you the schedules heading into that opening week on the 23rd. And good point. That's the very first game of the year, the 23rd, Atrisco Heritage and Manzano. Yeah,
Atrisco Heritage and Manzano is the first game on the 23rd on a Wednesday night right here, Proview Sports Network, Comcast 26. We've got it for you. Talk with Patrick Johnson of Atrisco Heritage, who I'm going to preview a little bit later this week. He's really excited with the talent that he has. He had a JV that was unbelievable last year, maybe a rebuild season for Atrisco. They have dominated District 4. I have a feeling that they're going to dominate District 4 this year. I'm curious how competitive they'll be against Manzano in that first game, but a team really that everybody should watch out for. And then the Matadors schedule, I think Alden's going to put it up here in just a second. I talked with Coach, come on, who?
Barker.
There we go, Barker. Man, he's going to kill me. I hope he doesn't watch this. Coach Barker, Jesus. He thinks he's probably a 500 team going into camp. Thinks maybe that maybe he's a team that could be dangerous once district play comes along. Going to be very physical, going to be very aggressive. A lot of young talent, but he thinks he's got some guys that can make a difference. I'm curious about the Sandia Matadors.
What is it about Sandia that brings out the physicality? You can say the same about Manzano, but everybody that I've talked to last 3-4 years, when Sandia is mentioned, they've had skilled players, they've had good defenses, but physicality is usually, especially in the front line, is what comes to the forefront.
Yeah, and Sandia, when they were really successful a couple of years ago, well, now 5-6 years ago, when they took on Las Cruces in the state championship, is exactly what you just mentioned. Physical up front on both sides of the ball. That's Kevin Barker for you, and that's what he's going to do. He's got some young guys and really good talent. How much are they going to improve? How much are they going to buy into his system early is going to dictate Sandia's success. You know what they like to see, though? I'm just going to tell you straight off, is those first 2 games of the season. That's really it's really, I don't want to say automatic wins, Scott, but I mean, they should be able to put themselves in good position with 2 wins early.
Then you never know what you're going to get out of Oñate the next week.
Yeah, curious. Oñate lost a ton.
Yes, he did.
A ton. And I mean, some of these players, are playing D1. I think Oñate put out the most D1 players out of any school from last year, and they made it to the quarterfinals before they bowed out. But Oñate is a team that I think everyone's going to be curious about. They also lost their head coach. I think last year was their year to make a run. I think they're going to have a little bit of a down season, so really interesting.
Let's take one more break here. We will come back very quickly and wrap things up. I'm Scott Glutty, Executive Director here at Proview Network's Adam Deal.
Kevin Barker, that's his name.
Kevin Barker, here on the Sports Desk.
interns here at Proview Sports Network get pretty competitive. Rivalries are real. So with the big matchup between the El Dorado Eagles and the La Cueva Bears, time to make my pick here on the Proview Rundown. I'm going to go with the El Dorado Eagles. You know, I'm going to change my decision, and I'm going to go with the La Cueva Bears. They're feeling it. All right, hey, calm down. Guys, you do it every time. This is ridiculous. You know what? I'm going to be in makeup.
Football's back right here on Proview Sports Network. All the best rivalries, all the best action, every game on Proview Sports Network, Comcast 26, and the game of the week on My 50 TV. Don't forget, every Proview Network sporting event is on sale at our DVD store. Go to www.proviewNetworks.com to buy your DVD today.
Hoops New Mexico Basketball Courts is coming to Albuquerque soon. 10 full basketball courts and a whole lot more. For more information, contact Dan Serrano at hoopsnm@aybl.com.
What do these interns even do on their break, man?
I don't even know. It's probably way too crazy.
Football's back right here on Proview Sports Network. All the best rivalries, all the best action, every game on Proview Sports Network, Comcast 26, and the game of the week on My 50 TV.
And welcome back here to the Sports Desk. Scott Gallotti along with the Executive Director here at Proview Networks, Adam Deal. Alden Iowani, our fine director. And I'll tell you what, we just saw on the break and we've seen throughout the show and throughout the week, if you watch Proview Networks on the games and everything that we show, the commercials, these guys are actors.
Yeah, they're legitimate, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I was telling, Josh Brown that he should go to mascot school. I really think so, if there's such a thing.
There is such a thing,
I think he should probably go. I'm just saying.
Well, he did a good job. I mean, Alden, everybody, it was a concerted effort. I don't know if I like the pen drop more, or if I like the papers thrown by Alden, but there's always something.
It's traditional that Alden throws.
Well, yeah, very
papers,
traditional.
So,
Yeah, we talked about that last week. If you don't have Alden throwing a paper, he might get upset. Right?
Yeah.
You don't want to get him upset.
He just threw something in the background. I don't know what it was.
Yeah, well, you see him. Well, after going over the schedules, and I know, again, you're going to be doing and you're going to want to tune these in every year that Adam does these, and hopefully all of us can do a little bit, but you do the brunt of it.
Yeah.
They're fun. They're time-consuming, but in the end, it's a lot of information. What do you expect to find out?
I don't know what. Here's what I can tell you. I've done it for 2 years. Okay, when I went and saw Cleveland practice 2 years ago, I said, this is a well-oiled machine.
You did.
I told that to Heath right now, and I said, you know what, that's going to be my favorites to win this. Just by watching them practice, you could tell by the athleticism that they had on the field and just the demeanor that they had was different than everybody else that I saw. And so I said, I think Cleveland's got, and Cleveland were already favorites. I wasn't going out of a limb picking Cleveland, and they ended up winning the state championship pretty easily, actually.
But you can usually tell.
Yeah.
You mentioned the word demeanor. The demeanor of the team while they practice is pretty evident. And you saw them early.
And then the next year, last year, Rio Rancho, same thing. When I went to see Rio Rancho, I saw in them. I said, okay, I didn't know how good they would be. And then immediately, with the way they practiced, just their demeanor was much like Cleveland the year before. And I said, okay, Rio Rancho's going to win it.
Right.
Now, again, I wasn't really going out of a limb because a lot of people thought Rio Rancho would be good, maybe not that good, and they were. And so that's what I'm going to look for. I'm going to go to the practice. practices, and it's not like I have this amazing eye and I could see the talent, but the last couple of years my eyes haven't lied, and you could kind of see it on the field. So I'm going to go and I'm going to see, can I see it on the field? I'm really looking forward to seeing Manzano. Do they have it? Obviously, Cleveland and Rio Rancho are going to be two favorites again, even though Rio Rancho's lost a little bit. They return really good talent offensively, or on their offensive line and defensive line. Their linebackers and safeties are going to make them good again, and so we'll see if their skill position players can make up for a Nick Little and a Josh Foley. Logan Bruere is now going to be their quarterback, so I'm curious. Angelo Trujillo's coming back for Cleveland. I can't wait to talk to him and find out how his knees rehab, because he was a threat, and Cleveland actually was a really they were not a favorite but a contender in the state playoffs until Trujillo went down, right? So really curious about that. And I'm wondering if there's anybody else, like maybe a La Cueva or an Atrisco, that can contend in the city. So I can't wait to just go out to the practices and find out what my eyes see.
Now, what do you think about the teams that had losses? Volcano Vista comes to mind. Cormier is going to be hard to replace. Other schools, Cibola, what are they going to have this year? They've had outstanding talent ever since their coach got there, but who's going to be maybe
Volcano's really taken away from Cibola the last few years, and a lot of talent ends up going to Volcano Vista. Volcano Vista is one of those teams every year that maybe has the most talent on paper than anybody. So I'm curious what Chad Walton's going to do this year. New quarterback, new wide receivers, new running back. Streets is gone, but their JV was fantastic. They've got players that'll fit in. They're going to be freakishly athletic like they always are. So always curious how Volcano Vista is going to do. I can never put a read on Volcano Vista. That's the one team that year to year they can beat Mayfield and then lose to Atrisco Heritage, and you're just scratching your head going, what's going on here? So I'm always curious to see how Volcano Vista is doing.
Any dark horse in District 1 maybe? Do you think Piedra
It's got to be
Vista
Volcano.
Be
I don't think PV's there yet. Now PV is getting better. Remember, PV last year they were undefeated going into district play, and then they didn't win a district game and didn't even make the playoffs. So yeah, PV is going to be good. Are they there yet? No. Can they beat Cibola maybe? Yes. Rio Rancho, Cleveland, Volcano. I doubt it. I really do. I think it obviously is going to come down to Rio Rancho and in Cleveland like it always does. Remember, that's a weird game because it's been switched. It's an early October game. It's the first game of district for Rio Rancho and Cleveland. They play early October now, which is interesting.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned how wide open District 4 is going to be. Talk a little bit about that.
I think Atrisco's the favorite. I think Atrisco's the favorite. I'm curious, does Albuquerque High drop off a little bit from last year? And does Ron McMath have the talent? He lost a lot of seniors too. So West Mesa might be reloading a little bit. I don't know much about Valley. I don't know much about what Coach Judge is doing over there, Judge Chavez. I can't wait to see it. I think if you had to pick right now, Scott, I think Atrisco's the favorite, but I don't know. It's pretty open.
I'm going to ask you an out of the blue question, and we kind of did this with the UNM football team, but I'm going to ask a little bit, what can we do? What needs to be done to get more people to the high school games?
We got to stop having unbelievable broadcasts here on Proview Sports Network.
Well, we're not going to do that.
I'm kidding.
But no, outside of that, I was going to actually preface outside of losing the broadcast.
I think it's just simple, really. I think the metro area has to be really competitive, and I think the last few years they haven't been so much. And Rio Rancho and Cleveland, they're selling their stadiums out. Okay, and so if you're talking locally at Community Stadium, look, when Cibola was good and Volcano Vista was good and they would have a great rival, that would pack up. But lately that rivalry hasn't shown the audience that it should, and even La Cueva and El Dorado haven't. Now this year that La Cueva is a little bit better, I find curious because I think that those two teams can do it. Now Manzano's good, and I think everyone is going to be anticipating Manzano to be good. I have a feeling that in District 2 you're going to see an increase in just because there's better teams and better competition in that district. That's what I think.
Alden tells us it's the final minute.
1 minute.
What would you like to say in closing?
Well, Scott, we're excited, right? You're excited. I'm excited.
I'm excited.
It's all starting. When football season starts, it's my favorite time of the year. Literally, we've got high school, college, and then of course pros, and so it's my favorite time of the year. Join us here on Proview Sports Network, Comcast 26. We've got great shows, we've got great content, and we've gotten better, and we've got so much.
We'll talk volleyball too, because high school volleyball is coming up.
Sure.
Same time of year.
Go Atrisco Heritage.
There you go. Well, I want to thank you, Adam, for joining me here. Ed will be back next week, and we want to thank you for joining us here.
And I apologize, Kevin Barker. I'm sorry.
Alden Iowani, we don't have to apologize. We know his name. He does a great job.
We didn't know his last name until like 2 years ago, though. So
Alden Iowani is our fine director. He's Adam Deal, executive producer, executive director. He's executive everything here
Sure,
at
I'll
ProView
take
Networks. Yeah, you're executive. There you go. I'm Scott Coletti. We'll talk to you next week on the Sports Desk.